Well, hello everybody, and welcome to PCL Live. It's Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern. We'll be going for about 20 to 25 minutes. So, if you are watching this and it's after 2:30 p.m. Eastern on Monday, you're going to be Team Replay. So, you'll be doing hashtag Team Replay. So, as we always say, please list in the comments where you are watching from, what city, what state you're watching from. So, let me see. Trying to see if I see anyone online as yet. If you're hopping on, yep. If you're hopping on, please just let us know in the comments what city or state you are watching from. So I know we're 33 or 40 something people online. So comments, please. What city or state you're watching from? All right, here we go. Karen was brave. Karen, you get the prize today. Birmingham, Alabama. Karen was the first person to put in that she's watching from somewhere. Great. Welcome, Karen and Debbie from Charleston, South Carolina. Felix from Nairobi. Marilise, I hope I said that right, Marilise, from Orlando, Florida. Hey, Florida, best state ever. Sorry, North Carolina, we love you too. Albuquerque, New Mexico. Justin, Bev from Alberta, Canada. Sweden, Philadelphia. Shout out to, let's see who else. You're welcome, Karen. LA, LinkedIn user. All right, so today, and you guys just keep popping in, right? We're gonna answer. I want you guys to come with questions today. This needs to be interactive. We're talking about year-end strategies, right? Year-end strategies, and my philosophy is this: whether you are a multi, national or a big corporation or a small company, you need strategies, especially for this year-end. And so today I have my partner in life and in crime, the CEO of Sharon Gill International, Wayne Gill. And he's having some trouble with his camera. So he may freeze here and there, but we're going to ply him with some questions. So keep popping on, and I'm going to start. Listen, I am assuming that there were some strategies that you'd put in place at the beginning of 2021. But if you did not have a strategic plan, or if you're brand new, it's okay. Okay, don't tune out. However, if you had some strategies put in place, now is the time at the end of the year, what I call the last quarter, to take a look at those strategies and see, okay, how did we do? Even though you have 2 more months left, it's time to say, how do we do? And to look forward to 2022. We've had the most interesting 2 years with COVID, right? We've had to pivot strategies. We've had to redo strategies. We've had to adopt new policies, adopt a new mission, shift our vision, shift to the workplace. I mean, it's been a crazy time. And in every season of life, Wayne, there's been people who have done well, even in bad times. Like we've had the COVID, there are people who have done actually very well. And there have been people who have done not so well. But we want to prepare you to win in 2022. So we're going to talk about strategies today. So Wayne, I'm going to start with you. I'm going to hope your camera holds well. And remember now, guys, I want you guys to have questions. I want you to answer this question. For example, did you create a strategy for 2021? Yes or no? And so we're going to start with that. And if not, we'll get to that. But did you create a strategy for 2021? And are you working on your 2022 strategy as yet? And 3, this doesn't only apply to CEOs and leaders. This applies to managers, because I believe that the company should have an overarching strategy, but each manager, each department should have their own strategies as well. So, okay, Wayne, so we're at Q4 in 2021. What are you thinking about now as you look at 2022? What are some of the thoughts that you're thinking? Did you hear our question? Because I know you froze a little bit.
I did. And if I freeze, just let me know, Sharon, and take over.
Okay.
But there are two main things that I'm thinking about at this stage, and quarter four is always October is a great month for that. Number one is looking back.
Mm-hmm.
So whether I had a strategic plan or not, sort of how am I doing? Because even if I didn't write down a plan from last year, I can go and I can look month by month, quarter by quarter, and see where am I, right? And then the second one is to look ahead to 2022. Where am I going? So I think those are the two things
So
that
he's
companies could start doing right now. As you said, even if you're a manager of a department, how'd you do last year? This, the last 9 months, and what are you planning to do for the next year?
okay. So for those of you who saw when talked for a little bit, he said to look back, right? Even if you did not have a strategy coming into 2020, 2021, look back from January and how did you do? How have you been doing? But what exactly are you measuring? See, this is the question. What are you measuring in your strategy? Um, when I'm going to go to you first, and I'm going to come back to myself. What do you measure when you look back, and and when you're looking forward? What are you measuring?
There's several things. One probably obvious thing comes up is money, right?
Right.
Like, how
Yeah.
did I do? Did I make any money? Did I just spend, or did I invest, or uh, what was my financial outlay? So that's a really, it's sometimes painful to face, but that's a pretty easy one, right? You could go to the books and you could see, what came in and what went out. So that's one category that people can look at pretty quickly. How did I do?
Okay, so money is look, money is an indicator if you're doing bad or not, right? You don't want to be in a business, folks, where you're actually losing money, right? So as you plan your strategy, and someone's asking, Alex, and I'll get to that question. What's the difference between strategy and planning?
Mm.
Um, Alex, combine them. It's called strategic planning, right? And in strategic planning, usually you look at four factors, right? What are your strengths as an organization, right? What is the strength of your company? What are the weaknesses? Every company has a weakness. It could be lack of people, lack of staffing. It could be lack of resources. It could be a bunch of different things, right? What are the opportunities available to your company right now or to your department right now? Where can you grow, right? What's out there? What business, what new areas can you go into? And the last thing is threats. Okay, what are the potential challenges that you might face in your organization? So when you're doing this planning, Alex, the strategic planning, you're looking at these things. And when you plan your strategy, for example, you're thinking, for example, this year we wanted to make, let's do a number, 100,000. It's now October, so you're hoping that you would have been at least at 75,000. And now some companies make more money towards the end of the year. So, but you should be on track. You should be on track to be making, what your plans are. And if you are not making the money, that means that you have to tweak or switch your strategy for the new year. So that's the kind of things that you look at 2022 for 2021. You're in October, you're like, okay, I had planned to do 100,000, but I'm at 40,000. So what went wrong? What were the threads that happened? What were the opportunities I never, I didn't take? What went wrong? It's time to assess. And then based on the history from January to October, here we are, you can then project more effectively for 2022. So Wayne, we're going to try you again. So you talked about looking back and you talk about looking forward, right? And so,
Yeah.
what are some of the, for example, there are folks, it's such a different world right now, right? And what I'm seeing, Wayne, is that there are people who are adding to their team by using virtual assistants.
Yes.
And that could be a strategy, and we can talk about that some more, but virtual assistants, right, are assistants who are maybe in other countries, right? And so I'm finding that people are, adding to their team Because let's face it, when the world went home for virtual, your team now became an international team. And so there are folks who are adding people to their team to help grow as part of their strategy for 2022. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, my thoughts are we could spend one whole show on this point alone because honestly, it is the biggest point. Because no matter what business you're in, we talked about, at least I mentioned money first, right? And we could talk about technology and we could talk about a lot of things. But at the end of the day, the most important part of your business or your management team or your company are the people.
Right.
And so that's one of the things we'll definitely look at when we look back. What's our team look like? Are we maximizing our team? Do we need to tweak somewhere? Do we need to add, subtract? How have we treated our team? You guys have been reading up. You've heard it everywhere. What's being called the Great Resignation or the Big Quit, where there are millions of people that are just walking off the job or went home remotely at one point and decided they weren't going to come back. So there's a lot going on in the whole people environment. So I think that's an area that companies, I don't care what your size is, or how big you are, you're going to have to stop and focus on that. And whether you're dealing with part-time folks or maybe you're doing some freelancing or you have a team and a staff, we're going to have to really think about how we're going to treat teams differently in this new environment we're in.
Great point. And remember, you can ask questions in the feed. Wayne mentioned about the Great Resignation. We've all heard about this Great Resignation. And look, my theory on that is that there's going to be a slingshot effect next year. A lot of people are leaving organizations right now, but already the news is saying that some of those people who left in the Great Resignation are trying to get back their jobs. But with that being said, employers, as you're planning your strategy for 2022, what can you do? How can you plan to enhance the employee experience? Because if the Great Resignation trend continues, you're going to have to be paying higher salaries for maybe less qualified people because the people who you have who are good are leaving for better environments. So is there, some industries we get cannot operate under a virtual brand. They need to be in the office. But if you are an organization, part of your strategy should be, how can I more embrace the virtual or the hybrid world, right? Now, look, not everyone wants to work fully at home. Most people, I did a poll recently on this page, and interestingly enough, people voted that they would like to go back to work or at least have a hybrid. The minority folks wanted to work fully at home. So employers, knowing this, how can you accommodate your people more as part of your strategy? How could you reframe work? That's part of what we call strategic planning. You have to just think strategy. Just think, what is going to work for my organization based on what I'm reading, based on the trends, what is going to work? Alex asks, I know how to measure the effects, but have hard time to measure the casualties, the team internal efforts. Alex, I need some more clarification on that question. Because measuring intangibles is hard. Tangible things like money, you can measure, right? Employee growth or employee departures, you can measure. But intangibles is very hard to measure. So we're talking about strategy and we're talking about planning for 2022. And we're asking, did you have a strategy planned for 2021? And if no problem. But are you planning for 2022? I do want to say this too, Wayne. Many companies, the managers are like, look, strategy belongs to the guys on top, right? The CEO.
Right.
And that's true. But there's also, for you managers, managers get a hard time, right? For you managers, you also have a responsibility to your micro team to have a strategy that interprets the corporate strategy and make it work for your department. Can you speak to that, Wayne? And I hope that you'll stay with us and not get cut out.
Yeah, I kind of lost you a little bit in the
Yes,
And the
but we
last
were
part of your question there.
yes, I was saying that, managers also have a responsibility, not just the leaders. The leaders do the overall strategic planning,
Yeah.
but managers could exercise some leadership as well by planning, a strategy for their own departments. I find this to be very effective when managers do that. And I think Wayne is frozen again, so we'll keep
Yeah,
going.
because a part, yeah, I was going to say a part of the management role is a leadership role, right? And so, although you are managing a team or managing a department, you still have a leadership role. And so, as a manager, you can look at it as, isn't it awful? Or this is so terrible that this is all happening. Or you can look at it as, wow, this is an opportunity. Like I could get on the cutting edge of what's going on here. I could try something. I could actually impress people upstairs, if that's the way you want to put it, right? By trying some new things and seeing how I can incentivize the team to even be more cohesive in this time. Because, Sharon, we run, as you were just mentioning, you ran some polls on our PCL family, right?
Yes.
And that's one of the things that people are constantly talking about. It's a constant issue. So that's what makes me believe that it's still a big issue out there, because people are always, pushing back on that as what are management can more engage with people, listen to their issues, be more creative, be more innovative with how we retain people, make a better team culture, better work environment. All of that is just a big opportunity for managers if they would see it that way.
And yes, Wayne, and we heard most of what you said, but I want to just reinforce what you said. Managers get a lot of bad rap, as you said, right? There's even a book behind me that's called, this book is called It's the Manager, not complimenting the manager, saying a lot of the issues are with management, right? And so as part of a company strategy, I think CEOs can more empower managers and help them to step in some more leadership gifts, give them some more leadership training. And managers, I think you would do well if you not wait on the CEO, but if you actually develop your own leadership skills. And now is an opportunity for you, because the old playbook for management has been thrown out. Teams are diverse, teams are hybrid, teams are virtual. You need new skills. And so a part of the company's strategy for 2022 have to be with some training towards how we're going to develop our managers, develop our teams, retain our teams. Because if your team walk through the door and it's a great resignation, your profits go through the door. Stephanie or Stefan says, look at your productivity levels of all your teams. Alex says, the team says they work hard, put a lot of efforts, but the effort effects are not according to their expectations. Well, Alex, you got to make sure you set clear expectations, right? Set monetary expectations, set production expectations, because you can't measure something you didn't set. Set goals. You can't measure what you haven't set. Felix, is there a problem with the video? I can't see you, though I can hear you clearly. Felix, no, I think maybe it's something on your end because we are actually live. Arlene says, leadership must manage department, develop some KPI measures for the department. Yes, I agree. Leadership, which is what we call upper level leadership, right? They set the KPIs, right? Key performance indicators. Just like what I was saying to the earlier gentleman, you can't measure what you didn't set. So set the KPIs and then measure them. That's really what the leader's job is. Managers, you're the executors, but you can also use this time to lead as well. And so managers, they used to say managers manage things, right? Manage people. But now we need managers to actually start leading people. Lorelei says a good strategic plan will involve managers. They are closer to the front line of service, and their feedback is necessary to make sure that the company is not making the same mistakes. Well said, Lorelei, because a lot of times people bring in outsiders for the strategic plan and they ignore the actual people who are on the ground, like the managers who are on the front line. So absolutely. Wayne, what do you have to say up to that?
or they make the mistake also of seeing the strategic plan as an event or as a one-time thing. And it's sort of like we did that this weekend. We had our board retreat or our company retreat, or someone came in or an expert came in for a couple of days. And then now we go back to normal. And that's not what a strategic plan is. A strategic plan should involve the management and it should be executed. We've got to then take what was said and put it to work. So there has to be some accountability built in there so we can know whether it's working or not.
Yeah. Yes. Accountability is key. Thank you, April. April says it's very helpful. Peter, I'm not sure. My clock says 11:10 PST. I got an email event starting soon, like 11 a.m. Not sure how to link to it since I've been given no link. Peter, if you're actually commenting on this, you should be able to see the show because you're actually commenting in the live feed. So not quite sure what's going on there at all. But but back to Arlene's point and to Lorelai's point, about KPIs and about setting expectation. That is the leader's job, and the manager, you have a role to play in this as well. Hey, Rachel. So any other questions for us? So Wayne, what do you think based on what you've been seeing out there? What do you think 2022 looks like in terms of like what's trending? What are you seeing that's trending out there?
Well, I think,
thank you, Peter. I'm glad you found us. Peter, you can also watch the replay when we're done. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Sharon. I think my screen may have been freezing a little bit there. But I would say in the year ahead, one of the big things to look out for is kind of what we've been talking about, the flux of employees that are leaving jobs or who are starting businesses or who are going to be in some kind of remote or a hybrid environment. And we just have to be able to, I know I've spoken with managers and people in companies who don't like this. They see it as an inconvenience. They see it as something they don't want to deal with, but we might as well face up to it and figure out creative ways of embracing it and turning it into an advantage for the company.
So we're talking about this, this new environment, but it's not going away. People said we're going to go back to normal. This is a new normal.
Yeah, so it's not going back to normal.
No, we might as well embrace it. Yeah. Julio says every agent should have a scorecard with goals that will make measuring their productivity easier and keep them focused on their goals, which should all roll up to support the company goals. I like that, Julio. And I think, Julio, your method right there would work very, very well in the remote environment because we're not measuring productivity anymore, folks, by, what time you come to work, what time you leave work. We need to measure productivity different. Like you said, Julio, what's the scorecard? What are the KPIs? What are we measuring? And I think that's going to be the new rule and the new mindset going forward. We're going to take one more question. We're almost at 25 minutes. Thank you for your comment, Julio. But if there's any question you want to ask about strategy, we'll take one more question before we kick off in 2 minutes. But, we do appreciate you guys checking in and watching. And we ask that, you can continue to ask questions. I know some of you guys are at work and cannot really participate as much, but we thank you for tuning in. And all I will have to say is this. Listen, I'm actually, let me just put a note here that we have, you can feel free to get a hold of me or Wayne for a free 30-minute strategic call that we can help you to see where you're at and help you to shape, your plans for 2022. It is important. There's a saying that says, if you fail to plan, right, you plan to fail, right? So that's where we're at. And if you can't get that link down, you can certainly see us at online at SharonGill.com, right? So there's my website right there. As a matter of fact, I invite those of you who are on this call at Sharon to go on Sharon Gill, SharonGill.com, because I just relaunched my website today, and I would love to hear you guys' comments. So I just relaunched my site today and I would love to hear your comments. So SharonGill.com. So there's a question here. Peter says strategic planning in theory is written out for staff to learn, understand, and follow. However, with ego-driven CEOs, it seems tend to have unspoken mental goals. And you know what, Peter, we don't want to work with ego-driven CEOs. The ego-driven CEOs are losing people. They're leaving the companies in droves. So that ego-driven CEO will not survive 2022 because employees are now taking up ownership of their careers. And if the company cannot meet their goals, they are walking. They've been walking through the doors in droves. So ego-driven CEOs will not survive in 2022. And if you're a CEO watching and you still feel like it's my way or the highway, you're going to be on the highway by yourself because people are going their way. So strategic planning in theory, the old method that Peter is talking about was when you come together or leadership write some stuff down and they put the plan on a shelf until next year. That doesn't work. What works is active strategic plans that you take out literally once a month, if not once a quarter, and look to see how we're trending. If you had made a plan in January of this year or at the end of last year, you'd be looking at the plan now in October and saying, how are we trending? And so if you did make a plan last year, I encourage you to make a plan this year, considering the 4 factors. What are my company's strengths? What are my company's current weaknesses? And what can we do about that? What are the opportunities out there for my company, my organization, my team? And what are the potential threats and challenges? And if you want help with that, click on our website at SharonGill.com. There's a button that says Clarity Call or Call Me. Go ahead and click on that. And I'd love for you guys to look at our new website and give us some feedback in this feed as to what your thoughts are. Wayne, I think Wayne is still frozen, so we'll leave him alone for right now because he freezes in and out. But any final thoughts, Wayne, that you can share?
Just briefly, I would say, as a part of your strategic planning process, go back and look at your own process. You should have one. And if you don't have one, that might be something to think about for the coming year.
Okay, very good. All right, with that said, we're going to call it goodbye for now. Thank you guys for watching, and we will see you on the next live. Take care.